Happy Friday, everybody,
Happy Friday.
and welcome to the back catalog listening party. My name is Mother Banjo, one of your hosts,
My name is Anthony Ihrig, the other host.
and today we have joining us from Troy, New York, Sawyer Fredericks.
Howdy.
And we have folks joining the party early today. KS is waving hi, as
Oh,
is
Margo,
Margo.
too.
Yeah. And Linda from New
Aw.
Haven, Connecticut, Connie from Richfield,
Hey,
Minnesota,
Connie.
and KS from Western New York, and then Chris joining us from Savage, Minnesota, enjoying a West hopped German style IPA.
Ooh,
Oh, right.
tasty.
It is happy hour, and wherever you are tuned in from, if you are enjoying a beverage or a snack to kick off your weekend, let us know what it is. And Alan, I don't know what kind of beverage you have this week, but happy Friday. Joni, hi, and we got a yay Sawyer. And Lynn joining us from Greenville, South Carolina. And thank you all for joining us and coming to the party. If you're new to the show, this is the show where we invite different guest artists to revisit old records with us. It's an old-fashioned listening party on a new-fashioned platform, but we want you to join in the conversation again. Tell us where you're tuned in from. Share questions as you go, comments. All of that is welcome. And before we get started today, Tony, are you enjoying a beverage for your happy hour?
Yes, I am actually. I'm enjoying an Ellie's Brown from the Avery Brewing Company, but I think I was enjoying it a little too much in my back catalog listening party pint glass
Pint
here.
glass,
'Cause
nice.
it was a really good pre-show, folks. I'm already almost done here.
Okay. Well, it's going to be an exciting Friday here. And Alan, by the way, says it's rum punches all week for me. Okay, right. Well, I don't have anything as exciting as an Ellie's Brown or a rum punch, but I did find a box of wine down there. So, Boda's finest happening right here. And Sawyer, are you enjoying any kind of special beverage for the back catalog today?
We're doing just a regular old kombucha.
Oh,
Well,
that looks pretty special.
I was going to say that looks pretty fancy and has a good crisp
elderberry.
sound. Well, that sounds very fancy to me, I have to say. And Diane says, joining us from southwestern Michigan and enjoying spackling as I work on my dad's house. Well, can't drink that, Diane. Don't drink that. But I'm glad you're being productive while you join us. So
good
thank
for
you all for joining us. And we're really excited to have Sawyer here, especially because Sawyer Fredericks, not only a busy touring musician, but also in the middle of a Kickstarter campaign to fund his new record. So we've torn him away from watching those donations come in, and I'm sure he's welcoming the break. But Sawyer, for folks who are maybe less familiar with your music, I know we have some big fans who've joined us, but tell us a little bit about your background, where you grew up, how you fell into making this kind of music.
Yeah, so I'm originally born in Newtown, Connecticut, but I moved up to upstate New York. I moved up to upstate New York when I was 8 years old. I started playing music when I was 11. My uncle taught me my first few chords, and I started doing open mics and farmers markets, and went on to a show called The Voice when I was 15, and have been kind of just recording and releasing music ever since.
Excellent. And when he says he was on a show called The Voice, yes, NBC's The Voice, which is a big national singing competition television show, and you also won it. I mean, you weren't just on it.
Yeah. But I like this clap track.
It's not a track. It's actually coming live through the interwebs.
It is. I think that was Patricia. We heard Patricia in Albany.
Exactly. No, but I am a little curious about this, just because, you were so young when you won The Voice. Is that kind of what, I mean, clearly you were already making music and serious enough about it to even, do that. But when you won that, was that kind of like sort of the kick in the pants to be like, okay, yeah, I'm really going to give this a go? Or do you think that would have happened regardless?
I definitely would have kept creating music regardless of The Voice. I think The Voice really mainly just kind of like gave me a platform that got me in front of a lot of people. And I was like, oh, I can really do this like professionally now and as a career instead of like I'm trying to get to a certain point, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's really great. And so after winning The Voice, did you finish up school, or did you start touring right away?
So I'm actually homeschooled, but the type of homeschooling we do is unschooling. So I didn't have any school to finish up because basically, what unschooling is self-directed learning and learning through life. So the whole voice experience was a outlet for me for learning. And yes, we went right on tour, which was a little daunting for me because I had never done that before, and I was only 16 at the time. They got me into the studio to record my album, A Good Storm.
Nice. Nice. And the album we're going to revisit today, Hide Your Ghost, came out in 2018. Where does this fit in your discography?
So this is right after the A Good Storm album. And this one is actually, so the A Good Storm album I released with Republic Records, and it didn't really work out. I didn't have a lot of my own creative freedom with them. So this was my first independent album after working with them, and allowed me to really kind of follow my creativity and create something I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
So were these songs that had been with you for a while before and you weren't able to put on that first record, or were they kind of written after that, or where do these songs fall into that history?
So some of them I had written a decent while before, and some of them were quite new that I had written right after the Good Storm album.
Excellent. And we're going to dive into the record, but before we do, we had one more question while we're after talking about The Voice. Joni wanted to know, did you keep the connections with people, coaches on The Voice, either fellow contestants or the judges? How long does that relationship last if you win? Because that is a good question. A lot of us don't know.
Yeah. So I can't say I've kept in touch with the coaches, but I have kept in touch with a lot of the artists that I've met through The Voice, and a lot of them are still real good friends. So
awesome. Yeah, I would imagine that at least in my experience, even on a smaller local level, that the connections peer to peer between musicians and artists are some of the most valuable, I think, because that's your people, the people that you rely on for everything from gigs or recommendations of venues to building your team to recording records. So that makes sense to me. Well,
for sure.
We are so excited to have you here, and we're so excited to dive into this record, the first record where you got to be your creative self. And this is the first track that you picked to feature from the record Window. Is there anything you want to say about this before we take a listen?
So this song, it sounds a little dark for a lot of my tone, but it was actually about the struggles I was having when I first went on to The Voice. At least that's what it's about for me, because that was my first time being away from home for a long period of time, and I didn't get to see my family, and I was put onto a kind of pedestal and had cameras pointed at me, and they told me I needed to wear makeup, stage makeup for the stuff, and it was just felt very wrong to me and not natural, because I grew up on a farm, so going from that to reality TV was a lot. So that song is definitely inspired by a lot of that, but there's also just a story that I kind of created to tie it all together.
Excellent. Well, let's get our weekend started here with Sawyer Fredericks' Window here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
And it's dark in here. Gotta find my window. Let me see the life that I lived before. Think about the life that I live today, and why I left. I remember all the reasons that I had. Looking back, they all seem so foolish. What a fool I was. standing right in front of what I despise. It's hiding its face with lies, and this I know. I know, but it's dark in here. Gotta find a window. Yet the eyes are on me once again to shine a light on what is left and what is gone. I only threw away what I once loved just because of fame and trust, and this I know. And it's dark in here. Gotta find my window. I don't even care what I've lost. This broken withered heart can't take anymore. Just can't take anymore. Yeah, you said you once loved me, but I'm not the man I used to be. Yeah, this darkest week in my senses left me open to your schemes. Shed your skin. I wanna know who you are. Won't you shed your skin? I wanna know who you are. Said I wanna. I wanna, said I wanna, said I wanna. Know who you are. 'Cause it's dark in here. Seems everyone is gone. My family's so far away, they'll never find me. My friends, they all despise me. But at least I found my window.
All right. Sawyer Fredericks with Window
Nice.
from his 2018 album Hide Your Ghost, which we are revisiting today with Sawyer, joining us live from Troy, New York. And yeah, if you have any comments or questions about any of these songs or material, then feel free to throw them in the comments. And I love that KS was saying, hold on to your hats on this one, because it's true. It's interesting because as the song gets really, the intensity grows, usually you assume that's going to be where the tempo is going to pick up and get bigger, but instead it's like it did the opposite.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
It was and really effective because your voice still got bigger, but like the other expectations that you have when songs build, it's like, oh, it gets faster and louder and more instruments, and it was just so interesting that you built intensity in a whole different way. Can you tell us about that choice, and was that always what you envisioned? Is that something that happened in the studio?
So I would say it's definitely something I always envisioned for that song. I try to always add the type of dynamics to my song like that, where it starts off kind of low and it picks up and then back down, and then like I want it to be a flow, but always building up to something. But yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's another vector that musicians can use to tell a story is dynamics. And I got to say, 9 times out of 10 on the show, on my side, on the technical side, I see waveforms, of the songs. And typically they're just like a big rectangle. And I'm looking at all of your songs here, and man, do they have a lot of dynamic range. And I think that's like, you're not kidding. I mean, that like it really struck me when I opened it up. Is that something like, do you, is that where does that come from for you? Like I guess was that something about storytelling? Is that something about just feeling? How does that play into like your arranging of songs?
Yeah, so I would say it's both storytelling as well as the kind of like feel of it. For me, like when a song is getting to a more powerful, like emotional spot, I want it to be like very, very big. And when it's getting to more of like the delicate like stuff, I want it to like bring down a little bit and then build back up, because it just, I don't know, I do that instinctually with when I'm playing my guitar and just singing. So when I bring in other instruments around it, I want that to enhance that dynamic.
Just make it more extreme on both ends.
Yeah.
And you talked about so it sounds like you bring in the song kind of with this sort of idea of how you want it, and then you do the instrumentation to reinforce your ideas about the song and the dynamics. In this song, the piano was so front and central. Is that did you play that? Was that one of the people that played on the record?
Yeah, it was one of the people that played on the record. I don't play piano. But it's interesting because this was actually the first album. Well, actually, I'm not sure if there's piano on A Good Storm, but this album for Hide Your Ghost was the first time that I like specifically like, all right, I want piano on these songs, and they had a person come in for me. I'm blanking on his name right now, which I feel bad for doing that. But yeah, he came in and he was expecting a very like simple part for that song. Then he was doing like do da 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 da, and he was it was
a little more thing. Direction.
But he had fun.
Excellent.
Well, I got to say, while we're talking about the recording of this, the production is phenomenal. This is really a great sounding album, and it has such a kind of a big sound too. I'd love to know a little bit about where you recorded this, if you remember who was engineering, producing, that kind of stuff.
So I recorded it at Dreamland Recording Studios in Woodstock, New York, which is actually where I've recorded 3 of my albums now. And I was producing it, and Ariel Schaefer was doing like sound engineer mixing.
Awesome.
Nice.
Cool.
Excellent.
Well, we'll definitely be linking to those things in the show notes, because I know there's some fellow kind of music engineering nerds out there. It sounds really good, and we're going to say this a few times throughout the show, but if you want to hear the full resolution version of this, highly recommend that you get the actual CD. Sawyer let us know that there are physical copies, and man, you're gonna hear all the ones and zeros. There's not that YouTube, those missing parts. And so we'll recommend you heading over to SawyerFredericks.com to pick up that CD.
That's right. And also, when you're over at SawyerFredericks.com, you might discover that he is actually in the middle of, again, a Kickstarter campaign to fund his next record. And Patricia asked, how is your Kickstarter fundraiser going? I know you're kind of in those last few days, right? So
we are. But we are more than halfway to reaching our goal. So I'm holding out for it.
Excellent.
Hoping for the best.
Excellent. And tell us a little bit about this this new record you're working on. Is it are you recording in the same space, or is it something new that you're working on?
Yeah, we're recording it in the same space at Dreamland Recording Studios. We actually released an EP for it. It was called The Golden Tree. And this kind of sound that I have for this album is a little bit closer to the Flowers for You album as opposed to this Hydroghost one, which is why I actually wanted to talk about Hydroghost, because it's like an off-reach of like my sound. But I would say this new album has a more folk rock / folk sound.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Right on. Well, I was just gonna say, if you wanna jump on this Kickstarter, there's 4 days left. We can help them get over the finish line. I'll put a link in the comments, so make sure you click on that after.
Yeah, and basically, often on this show, we pass the tip jar for the artists that are donating their time to be here. But today we're asking you to go to that Kickstarter campaign and throw in any spare cash that way. And when you do, you also you're pre-ordering the album and get other cool thank yous. So it's a win-win for everyone, and it helps Sawyer, of course, complete this new record, which we want more Sawyer Fredericks, so we can have more back catalog in the future. Well, we are so excited to have you here, and we are getting some other questions. Oh, by the way, someone KS I think might have contributed the name of is that the name of the pianist? Sullivan
Fortner?
Yep.
Awesome. Well, KS, we're going to rely on you to be our live liner note. That's great. It's good to have
looking
fans.
at the Hydroghost album right now.
That's right.
The songwriting credits. I have the thing right here. I could have looked.
And
shame on me.
Tommy T asks, what other performing artists have you been writing with, and are there any other folks that are in your sights?
So I have been working with the Accidentals on the first half of this new album I'm working on, as well as they're going to be on another one of the songs on this remainder of the album that I'm recording as we speak.
Nice.
Awesome. And
we're
the
big fans.
The Accidentals are great band and do a lot of co-writing with a lot of great artists. And they were guests on Back Catalog Listening Party. I don't remember what episode, but if you go to backcataloglisteningparty.com, after this show is over, you'll be able to check out, Sawyer's episode, but also you can check out the Accidentals, because that was a really fun time we had with them. But yeah, they're such great collaborators, and in addition to being great songwriters and singers, they're of course great string arrangers as well. Yep. So I'm guessing there might be some strings on this new record.
Yep. Yes, there will be. At least so it'll be on a song called "No Need to Wonder." That's on the rest of the album, but they recorded strings on all 4 of the songs on the EP, and they all sound wonderful.
Nice.
Excellent. So that's something you can get when you support Sawyer Fredericks' Kickstarter campaign. Again, that link is in the comments. But right now we're going to dive back into the record. So the next song you picked to feature is called Angel's Skin. Is there anything you want to say about this?
So this one is inspired by something, I guess, relatively personal to me. I have kind of experienced for my whole life sleep paralysis, which I don't know if any of you know what that is, but it's a thing that can happen upon waking up or falling asleep, where you wake up and I guess the kind of the stuff that keeps you from moving when you're sleeping has not left your system yet, and you're completely paralyzed, but you can still look around the room, and it normally comes with hallucinations and stuff like that. It's actually where the term nightmare comes from, apparently. A demon that sits on your chest.
Wow.
So this song is about some of my experiences with it. Also inspired by some of other people's experiences. I've watched a documentary on Netflix called The Nightmare, and basically they were just talking about all these different people that had sleep paralysis and what they experienced with it. And this song as well has an overarching story that I kind of created as well.
All right. Well, we're excited to give it a listen. This is Sawyer Fredericks with Angel's Skin here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
house went up so fast. Smell of smoke fills my head. And downstairs, searching only for you, find you standing in a burning room, and you turn to me saying don't worry. This is all a dream, and I wake up in my room. You are standing over me, and I am burning. Don't see no flame. You are smiling like I'm insane. So hello, shadow. Hello, friend. Hello, demon. Angel skin. Come and whisper in my ear again. I'll always listen. 'Cause you're all I have left. Moon in the sky, won't close my eyes. Off to the right, you're by my side. Come sunrise, claw out my eye. Am I alive? Am I alive? Someone calling me. Someone laughing. Someone calling me. And you're standing in the corner, shadow wrapped around your soul. And you're staring at me like I am yours, but you are not your own. Someone, no, you are not your own. Laughing, no, beneath Hello, shadow. Hello, friend. Hello, deep angel skin. Come in a whisper in my ear again. I'll always listen. 'Cause you're all I have left. I'll always listen. Moon in the sky, someone won't close my eyes. Calling off to the right, you're by my side. Come sunrise, someone claw out my eyes, laughing. Am I alive? Am I alive? Someone calling me. And downstairs, smell of smoke fills my head. I know you're dead. I know you're dead. I know you're dead. I know you're dead.
All right, Sawyer Fredericks with Angel Skin here on the back catalog listening party from his 2018 album Hide Your Ghost, which we are revisiting today with Sawyer joining us live. And I'm so glad you gave us the background on that. But even if you hadn't, we definitely got the spooky
Yeah.
nightmare vibe of wondering like spirits and noises. And I have to say the way you captured that sonically, even aside from the actual song itself, just the sounds, the percussion really sounding like footsteps and the scuttling and the door
I heard some
creaking.
creaking,
Yeah.
some cool
Yeah,
stuff there.
we went all out with that kind of stuff on that song. It was funny. Me, Ariel, who was kind of like doing sound engineer for that, we were just like goofing off and trying to find as many creepy sounding things in that studio. We were like, all right, this door squeaks. Let's get some microphones on that. Here we go.
I love that. And I heard you like maybe doubling your own voice a couple times with like
Yep.
a lower register and like
Yeah.
like what great storytelling. I really do appreciate hearing the backstory too. I've experienced that once or twice in my life, and it is a kind of a terrifying sensation to be completely unable to move. So.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
what go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna just bring up a different one of the experiences that I had that I feel like, because I mean, like I've had sleep paralysis throughout my life and have had like shadowy figures coming into my room and whatnot. But I feel like this song was mainly inspired by one of my particularly bad experiences with it, where I was staying at my uncle's house and I was laying in bed and it was in like a guest room. They had two beds, and off to the right was this like stairwell that they had. And I heard this woman's voice going, ha, ha. And the thing with sleep paralysis, a lot of times you wake up and you don't realize that what's happening shouldn't be there. And once you realize that, that's when you are no longer able to move. And what dawned on me is that there was no women in that house. And then that voice went away, and I heard whispering all the way at the end of the hall.
Oh boy.
And this whispering was just coming closer and closer and getting closer and closer and coming through the walls until it was right by my ear, which is also why the lyric in the chorus, coming to whisper in my ear again. Then once it got to my ear, I started convulsing, wasn't able to like breathe properly, struggling, and finally came through and was like, oh, I'm able to breathe again. And basically I was trying to turn. The other annoying thing about when you're in sleep paralysis, you can't look at what is making these noises because you can't turn your head. So it's just like, it's off to the side of you and you're not able to actually look at it. But anyway, the whispering started again, and I tried to turn, and I just see this like black orb by my head, and then felt something poke my ear, and then I was out of it.
Oh my goodness. That is intense.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've had similar experiences or more vivid experiences than that, but that was one of the ones that I like woke up at like 5 a.m. and wasn't able to go back to sleep because I just kept going back into sleep paralysis.
Oh my goodness. I don't think I'd go back to bed for a week after an experience like that.
No.
So, this brings up
it's a good thing I'm not like
Oh, go ahead. I was just going to say...
I was going to say, it's a good thing I'm not religious in any way, because we're lagging. I'm gonna stop talking. You go.
We don't want you to stop talking, but I was just going to say, this brings up an interesting point that you said, like, obviously you're writing about this experience, and obviously you have all the recollections of this experience, and you don't want to go back to sleep after that. So I'd be curious, is that like a time when you would write, or are you too busy kind of in that moment to do anything constructive, or is that an interesting time to sort of tap into some of that creativity?
I would say I don't think I try to write during that. I mean, it's definitely an emotion that I carry once I get into the writing process. But during that moment, it's more of this like time for me to like feel like, what is life right now? Like, not really understanding what's going on, and yeah.
Well, I have to ask about the percussionist on this record, because both songs we've heard so far, it's been really impressive. Who's playing the percussion on this record?
So that is Chris Thomas, and I'm not sure if all the percussion is him. There might be some like shakers that are might be Ariel, but I'm pretty sure it's all Chris. And he's my drummer. He's played on these last 3 albums I've created.
Really tasty, and really seems to kind of got the memo on like the stories you're telling, and that is not something that you hear from a lot of drummers and percussionists.
It's funny because that album was like our first time really working together. Like we had like a couple rehearsals beforehand, but we had not played a show together yet. And so that album, both Chris and Jerome, who's playing guitar, we were just doing a lot of experimental stuff and like trying out things, which I don't actually recommend for doing that when you're in the studio. You should have the songs figured out before you get into the studio. It'll save you some money for studio time. But it was cool because I think that's a thing that made this album very special and unique in its sound compared to my other albums, is because we were so experimental with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And were you just kind of jamming out in the songs and then seeing what works, or did you just lay down a basic track and then they came in and played around with it?
I believe we all played straight through, and if anybody needed to like redo their parts, they would, but I wasn't super good at playing to a click, so I needed other people like performing with me at the same time. So we did it all basically live.
Excellent. Wow. Well, again, the album sounds so great, and I also love that Astrology Happenings said, "I just can't understand why radio stations won't play Sawyer's amazing music." And I will say that, yeah, it's not
It's
maybe
8
what you
minutes long. That
I was
one.
gonna say I I wouldn't have guessed it was 8 minutes because I was so wrapped up in the song. It didn't feel like 8 minutes, but I knew it was longer than your average, 3.5 minute song that you would hear on the radio. But that's the beauty of the back catalog listening party. We get
Yeah.
to play whatever the artist wants. And for those of you who are new to this show, basically we invite artists that we love to join us, and they pick the album and the song. So this is not our choices. These are Sawyer's choices. So we're so happy that Sawyer is with us and has picked these great songs to share with you and to share the background and the stories behind these songs. We did get a couple questions we want to get to, and Connie was asking us this. Also, Chris commented on the cover art.
Yep.
And we'd love to know, who did it and what inspired it.
Yes, so actually the artist is from Germany. Her name's Nina Pfeiffer. And I'll go in the whole story of this because I'm very proud of all her work that she did for this. So the title track, Hide Your Ghost, I had released a video of me playing it, and Nina found that and created this artwork for it. And I reached out to her asking if she would create basically artwork for the album. And she came up with that. And I wanted to like encompass a lot of the things that are happening in the song. So like there's fire kind of on the top of it, which I relate to the song Gasoline. The hands wrapping around the person, I relate to Angel's Skin. And Moving the Sky has the night above it. So I wanted to capture a lot of the aspects in the album, and she actually did in the lyric booklet. She did artwork for almost each one of the songs.
Oh wow!
If I go to Window has, it's going to be kind of hard to see, but has this like person like shedding its skin.
Wow.
And that is from the lyric that's in that song. And then Angel's Skin, with a shadow wrapped around your soul.
Oh
wow. That is so cool.
So
another reason to get the record,
job on this.
Yeah.
Another reason to get the record, or even the vinyl, because the vinyl has all of that in very big print, and it's
cool.
so beautiful.
That's so cool. So you can get Sawyer's music, including physical copies, CDs and LPs at SawyerFredericks.com. So you get the high fidelity, you get all those squeaks and creaks, and you get all that beautiful artwork by Nina Pfeiffer. And we'll make sure to link to that too on our show notes on the back catalog.
And you can also come out to a live show, and I'll sign them for you, and you can get them here.
Awesome.
Well, and speaking of live shows, we do want to mention that I know you're working on this new record, but I'm busy watching those donations come in towards your Kickstarter goal. But you do have some shows coming up in May and in Maine, and a couple at Cafe Lena in Saratoga Springs, New York, which is especially exciting because of course, people who live in Maine and New York might be able to see you live and in person and get those LPs signed. But Cafe Lena streams their shows, right? So folks can check you out even if you don't live in those areas. And so you can find out the full tour schedule at SawyerFredericks.com. And we're going to get to some more questions and more music. But this hour's going very fast.
I know. Sure.
That 8-minute song. So so we want to make sure to just thank our Patreon supporters. We're going to get some more music, but before I forget, these are the folks that have kept this show going. The equivalent of buying LPs, since we don't have LPs to sell, is folks that have come on to support the show and keep it going for over 200 episodes. Penny, Anna, Linda, Bevan, Connie, Vaughn, Alan, Chris, Alex, Becky, Peggy, Joe, Jim, Beverly, John, Fred, Tim, Sarah, David, Jocelyn, Matt, Steve, Mark, Homestead Pick and Parlor, Severin, Lynn, Mary, Many Tracks, Nikki, Joni, David, CJ, Wiley, Stephanie, Christy, Diane, and Hetty, and maybe you, if you want to join our Patreon community. You get first look at all of our guests. You might get that back catalog listening party pint glass that Tony has right there, filled up again.
Yeah,
and
miracle.
Yeah, it just keeps filling itself. That's what happens when you get the magical back
That's
catalog
right.
listening party glass.
Yeah, like the better the episode is, the more beer goes up and down, right?
And or kombucha or whatever you're putting in that glass. And but also we want to have a special shout out because our Patreon, we have a special after party, which we do periodically for our Patreon supporters. And today Sawyer has agreed to stick around for an extra pint with us. Afterwards, we're going to be going over to Zoom, and our Patreon supporters and some of Sawyer's Patreon supporters, we're all going to gather for a little after party. So that's something that you get when you join our Patreon. And speaking of which, Sawyer, for your Patreon, is there anything special you want to say about your Patreon?
I would just say to thank you for all of them, because they helped me through the entire pandemic and helped me release Flowers for You, as well as this album that I'm working on right now. So I could not be doing all the things I'm doing without you guys. So thank you.
Hey. Yeah, I mean, that's what this show is all about, really, is supporting independent artists doing their thing. Doesn't, sometimes artists don't fit into tidy genres, right? And 8-minute songs aren't radio friendly, but this is the internet. and people have much more sophisticated tastes.
That's right. And we have one question from Alex, wondering if your parents were musicians. I know you mentioned your uncle taught you those guitar chords, but were your parents also into music?
So, well, they were definitely both into music, like they're big music lovers. But my dad wasn't a musician or sang or anything, but my mom sings as well as she plays violin.
Excellent. Wonderful. Well, we are excited to dig into more of this record. We're going to get hopefully to a couple more songs before we head out here. This is How Beautiful. Is there anything you want to say about it?
Well, I'm happy that this one is on here because it's a little less dark than the last couple. But this song to me could be about two things. It could be about a relationship that has fallen apart and has gotten back together. But when I was writing it, I was thinking of more of past lives and meeting someone that you've met before in some way, and kind of falling in love, but also falling apart all over again.
This is Sawyer Fredericks, How Beautiful, here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
My eyes open, find you standing right here in front of me. How beautiful you are, with your eyes so familiar. How beautiful you are, and I don't know, but I love you. No, I loved you before. So don't ask me why I'm here, 'cause I don't know. I was lost, but I think I'm home. And this pain in my heart, 'cause you hurt me and I know I've hurt you too. But don't ask me to leave, 'cause you're afraid of what it was, or what might be. 'Cause my eyes have opened, find you standing right here in front of me, and I love you. I've known it too. You've been out of sight, but now I found you. How beautiful you are, with your eyes so familiar. How beautiful you are, and I don't know what I've loved you before. And this pain in my heart, 'cause you've hurt me and I know I've hurt you too. But don't ask me to leave, 'cause you're afraid of what it was, or what might be. 'Cause my eyes have opened, how beautiful you are.
Beautiful indeed. Sawyer Fredericks here on the back catalog listening party. And yeah, from his 2018 album Hide Your Ghost, which we have been revisiting today. Folks loving the music. And yeah, I agree. Sounding really, really nice. And Patricia says, thank you for this lovely afternoon of listening to Sawyer's music and him talking about it. Well, thank you, Patricia, and all of you for joining us today. This show is really about this. It's about the music, but it's about listening together, because we can all listen on our separate devices, but we spend so much of our time already separated in our little silos, plugged in. And I think when we're plugged in together as a circuit, I think it makes it much more magical and powerful. So
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's the whole idea here, is that music, something changes to the music when you're listening together. And so, yeah, we do thank all of you for being here. Connie says, what an amazing show. Thank you. But guess what, Connie? We still have one more song.
We're going to squeeze in one more before we go.
We're bound and determined to get another track in here, because that's the medicine that I need to reset after a long week. KS says this is my kind of interview. Thanks, KS.
Thank you for contributing too, and
we
filling in the blanks for us.
This is really what it's all about. But we do have another track we want to get to. We have a fifth track that anybody who's in our Patreon and Sawyer's Patreon can enjoy in the after party. But we have one more lined up here. Sawyer, Should Have Known Better. What would you like to say about this one before we give it a spin?
So this is a song I had a song that was put on my Good Storm album kind of against my will, and they wanted that song on there because it was a little more pop, a little more crunchy oriented, so they thought it could reach a wider audience. I wrote this song trying to show them that I could reach a wider audience while still staying true to my artistry and my musicianship.
Awesome.
Didn't change their minds, but I put it on my independent album after.
Awesome. Well, good for you, man. I love it. I think this is what it's all about when it comes to independent music, and we so glad that you shared that with us, because I think the people that tune into this show want to let you know that that we appreciate that. And so one more time, I'm just going to say, if you do appreciate what you're hearing, we have these in the comments as well. But go buy the record. Nothing makes an artist feel better than when you purchase their music. That really shows them what that you really appreciate what they're doing. And then we also have a Kickstarter. We have 4 days left.
Help him reach that goal. We want
he's close. We've got to get over that line. The link is in the comments, but it's going to be a great record. There's all kinds of wonderful little things that you can get for your contribution to his Kickstarter. We'll put a link to it again in the comments. Sawyer, we thank you so much. We won't have a ton of time after this is done to wrap up, but I want everybody else out there to know how much we appreciate you being here and listening to music together with us. And we're going to close out our hour with Sawyer Fredericks, Should Have Known Better, here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
It hurts to see you down. I ain't seen you smile in a while. I know you never could leave me, but I know that you ain't happy. My heart is beating loud, love's only you. Nothing is ever gonna change how I feel. I know that you don't love me, you never will. I know I shouldn't be sorry, but I am. No, I should have known better not to walk. I should have known better not to love. 'Cause you'd have done better than me. I should have known better not to say. Walk in the room with tears in your eyes, saying, darling, I'm tired of these lies. And you crashed at my feet, and the walls seem to shake. I see the pain I've caused you when you tell me these things I already knew. I should have known better not to walk, but my heart is beating loud, love's only you. Nothing is ever gonna change how I feel. I know that you don't love me, you never will. I know I shouldn't be sorry, but I am. So I should have known better not to walk. I should have known better not to love. 'Cause you'd have done better than me. I should have known better not to say.
Sawyer Fredericks, finishing things off here on the back catalog listening party with Should Have Known Better. And you know what? You were right. They were wrong.
The record company should have known better.
Yeah, they should have known better. That was a hit right there, too. That was awesome. That is from his 2018 album, Hide Your Ghost. We've been revisiting it today with Sawyer, telling us some background behind the songs and the recording. So much fun. Thank you so much for being here, Sawyer, and for taking the time, pulling yourself away from
Thank you for having me.
Your Kickstarter to join us. And again, buy the album, see Sawyer live, support the Kickstarter, go to SawyerFredericks.com or that Kickstarter link and support this great talent so we can have more new Sawyer Fredericks music. And if you like the episode, like it on YouTube, direct more bots to this guy, Sawyer Fredericks. And because we do this every Friday, so you can be notified about what's coming up next week. Won't be Sawyer, unfortunately, but it'll be another great artist talking about their old records, dusting them off for you. And for our Patreon supporters and for Sawyer's Patreon supporters, we're going to be heading over to Zoom now and catch another song with him and do a little more chatting. But thank you all so much for joining us today. This has been just what the doctor ordered for me.
Yeah. Thanks, Sawyer. Really appreciate it. Looking forward to asking all the questions I had in my mind that I wasn't able to. We'll do that again. And for everybody else, we hope to see you here next week on the Back Catalog Listening Party. Cheers to you.
Cheers, everybody.
Independent music.
Cheers.